So happy Monday. Guess who's one happy I am, because I don't have to pull the transmission out of this E70 because my assumption on the coolant leak from the back of the block was incorrect. So let me show you where we did find the leak and what we're going to take to correct it. All right, so if we come in here, this is the passenger side, and you can see here, look at that. We have some antifreeze, and not going to be the best shot here. I'm going to bring you up top in a second, but when you come up here, there is a auxiliary water pump, and we have our lower hose, and there's water everywhere. So let's go back down. Before we do, I'll show you the bell housing area real quick on what to look for when it is that flange on the back of the block. But I'm going to give you a better shot and show you what we need to do to correct this leak. So when you do have an antifreeze leak from the back of that flange on the back of the block that requires your transmission to come down, what you're going to want to look for is a bunch of coolant that's going to collect, and you'll see some corrosion basically at the bottom of your oil pan and the bottom of the transmission, so that bell housing area. There is an inspection plate here too that you could pull off in the actual bell housing, and you're going to want to look for antifreeze. But luckily it's bone dry, and well, we had that up front. So now let's show you where it's actually leaking from. So the actual leak that we have in this truck that was slow every 2 weeks, first we had the tank, another 2-3 weeks, pressurized the tank. As you can see, we have our pressure tester on the actual expansion tank, and the water you saw from below is coming from over here. Check it out. So there is a coolant temperature sensor, water temperature sensor that sits in the lower hose. There is an O-ring. We are going to remove the sensor, inspect that O-ring, and more than likely just replace that water temp sensor. Now, the reasoning behind that is there's a bunch of other hoses we need to service. We do have a very slow leak on our turbo coolant hoses. I see some corrosion in the upper hose. And well, believe it or not, it's easier for me to pull this engine and transmission down on a table to replace every single water hose. The motor has about 40,000 miles on it now, but these hoses, for the most part, are original. So instead of just doing the lower hose, we're going to hope that it's just that sensor, replace that sensor, and if that fixes the leak, pull the engine and trans and service the entire coolant system. So that's how in-depth this stuff could get on your E70 X5.